Join us on Patreon and become part of our journey to uncover history's untold stories. Your support helps us create in-depth content, bring hidden narratives to life, and keep history alive for everyone.
History is often written in the ink of power, erasing the subtler but deeply significant ties between peoples and civilizations. Among the many untold stories of interconnectedness across continents, one of the most intriguing yet underexplored is the historical and cultural link between the Igbo people of West Africa and various Native American tribes of North America. While separated by vast oceans and different geographies, the Igbo and Native Americans share profound similarities in their spiritual beliefs, governance structures, resistance to colonial oppression, and even linguistic and genetic traces that hint at ancient exchanges. This narrative is one that brings into focus the resilience of two peoples who, despite centuries of displacement and suffering, have retained their core identities. Understanding the connections between the Igbo and Native American tribes requires a journey through history, one that examines the forced transatlantic movements during the era of slavery, the cultural amalgamations that occurred in the Americas, and the deeper anthropological and historical links that may predate European contact. This exploration is not merely a speculative exercise, but a crucial endeavor in reclaiming a lost chapter of shared heritage. The echoes of Igbo traditions in Native American communities, and vice versa, speak to an enduring relationship, one that offers insights into human resilience and cultural synthesis against all odds. The Igbo people, one of the largest ethnic groups in Nigeria, have a long and rich history that predates the transatlantic slave trade. With origins tracing back to the ancient Nok civilization and later the Kingdom of Nri, the Igbo were known for their decentralized governance, strong emphasis on spirituality, and an economy deeply tied to trade and agriculture. However, the advent of European colonial powers and the subsequent transatlantic slave trade disrupted this stable way of life. Between the 17th and 19th centuries, hundreds of thousands of Igbo people were forcibly taken from their homeland and transported to the Americas, primarily to regions such as Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, and the Caribbean. This forced migration set the stage for interactions between the Igbo and Native American tribes. Many Igbo captives were sold into plantations where they work alongside enslaved indigenous peoples, leading to cultural exchanges and, in some cases, intermarriage. This fusion of traditions became particularly evident in resistance movements, religious practices, and communal structures that bore striking resemblances to both Igbo and Native American ways of life. One of the most compelling connections between the Igbo and Native American tribes lies in their spiritual and religious beliefs. Both cultures hold a profound respect for ancestors, nature, and a supreme deity that governs the universe. The Igbo, for example, worship Chukwu, the supreme god, while Native American tribes often revere the Great Spirit, a divine force that oversees existence. In both traditions, there is a strong emphasis on the spiritual world, with a belief that ancestors guide and influence the lives of the living. This is reflected in ritual practices, storytelling, and the use of sacred symbols. Igbo masquerade traditions, such as the Ekpe and Ekpo societies, bear remarkable similarities to Native American ceremonial dances, where participants don elaborate masks to invoke ancestral spirits and seek guidance from the supernatural realm. Beyond cultural similarities, the Igbo and Native Americans share a legacy of resistance against colonial oppression. Both groups suffered immense brutality under European powers, but refused to succumb entirely to subjugation. The Igbo, known for their defiant spirit, often led revolts on slave ships and plantations. One of the most famous acts of resistance was the 1803 Igbo Landing in Georgia, where captured Igbo slaves collectively chose death over enslavement by walking into the sea in an act of mass suicide. Native American tribes similarly resisted colonization through warfare, diplomacy, and cultural preservation. The Cherokee, Seminole, and Creek tribes, among others, fought against forced displacement, particularly during the Trail of Tears in the 1830s. Interestingly, historical records indicate that escaped Igbo slaves found refuge among Native American communities, particularly within the Seminole Nation, where they became known as Black Seminoles. These African Native American alliances were crucial in resisting American expansion and maintaining a sense of autonomy in the face of oppression. Another dimension of the Igbo Native American connection can be found in linguistic and genetic studies. Certain words and expressions within Native American dialects bear phonetic similarities to Igbo words, suggesting a historical blending of languages. Additionally, genetic research has uncovered African markers in some Native American populations, further supporting the idea that Igbo and other African peoples intermingled with indigenous groups over centuries. One compelling example is the presence of Igbo-descended individuals in the Gullah Geechee community of the southeastern United States. The Gullah, who have maintained strong ties to West African culture, have oral traditions that speak of their ancestors living among Native American tribes. Some Native American communities, particularly in the southeastern United States, also acknowledge African ancestry in their oral histories, reinforcing the notion of an enduring connection between these groups. Despite the ravages of colonialism, slavery, and forced displacement, the legacies of both the Igbo and Native American tribes continue to thrive. Today, cultural preservation efforts seek to highlight and celebrate the shared histories of these communities. Organizations dedicated to African and indigenous heritage work tirelessly to reclaim narratives that have been buried by mainstream historical accounts. In the modern era, recognizing these connections is more than an academic pursuit. It is a step toward healing historical wounds and fostering a deeper understanding of the resilience and cultural richness of both the Igbo and Native American peoples. Through music, art, storytelling, and genealogy, these communities continue to honor their ancestors and keep their traditions alive. The connection between the Igbo and Native American tribes is a testament to the enduring power of cultural identity and human resilience. While separated by continents, these two groups have shared experiences of suffering, resistance, and survival that bind them together in ways that history is only beginning to fully appreciate. From spiritual traditions to linguistic echoes and shared struggles against oppression, the Igbo and Native American tribes are united by a history that transcends borders. By revisiting these connections, we not only shed light on an overlooked chapter of history, but also celebrate the spirit of two peoples who have refused to be erased. As we continue to uncover and document these links, we move closer to a more comprehensive and inclusive understanding of world history, one that acknowledges the complexities and interwoven destinies of global civilizations.